Indonesia, where the death toll has doubled following a major earthquake and tsunami. Officials say now at least 832 people were killed in this disaster. Hundreds more seriously injured or missing. Indonesia's president is now in the hard-hit city of Palu, surveying the damage. Rescue teams are searching for survivors of earthquake and tsunami damage, of course, that struck Sulawesi Island on Friday. And as you can see from these pictures, the devastation, it just goes on and on for kilometers. Rescue workers still don't know the full scale of the damage. Some rural areas are still inaccessible. Communication also down in many parts of the region. CNN's Pauline Chu has this report.
Sitting on the ground outside, a woman cries, panicked and rattled. Another aftershock has just struck in Palu, Indonesia. Others run onto the street, scared to remain indoors. Body bags line the road nearby. Some of the hundreds killed since Friday's massive earthquake, made worse by the subsequent tsunami. Videos captured the scene as the massive wave hit. Homes, buildings, cars, and roads, all swept away by the tsunami, about 3 meters high. A before and after image shows the force of the wave and the quake, crumbling a steel bridge. Survivors are now combing through the vast wreckage left behind, looking for their belongings or for loved ones. The Indonesian president says he's sending military to help with search and rescue operations, hunting for survivors among the chaos and destruction, further complicated by downed power and phone lines all over the region. Makeshift hospitals desperately try to help all those wounded. One medical center so badly damaged, staff are treating people outside with sparse resources, working to prevent any more lives being lost, though officials warn the death toll could continue to climb. For Indonesia, the tragedy has become all too familiar. On the island of Lombok, further south, an August earthquake killed more than 430 people, leaving a country reeling and shaken. Pauline Chu, CNN.
Let's bring in Yeni Suryani in Jakarta. She is the country's manager for Catholic Relief Services in Indonesia. Thank you for your time. I know you're monitoring this from Jakarta. What can you tell us about the extent of the damage at this point and the need of people there?
Hello, George. Thank you for having me here. The extent of the damage reported to be quite significant, quite massive in both Palu City and Donggala. And the government currently prioritizing the search and rescue mission to clear up the rubble, but also most importantly to find more victims under the rubble and debris of the collapsed buildings. Also, the government agency has started shipping relief aid to the area from other cities, including from Jakarta. People are in need. I'm sure that people are in need of shelter. As you said, that more than 17,000 people are displaced right now. They will need shelter, they will need food, and also they will need other basic necessities to maintain their existence there.
Help us understand as well the difficulty, the sheer difficulty of getting into the region.
The challenge is that because the airport in Palu has been damaged and now it's been repaired only for humanitarian relief materials and very basic needs, and also military and police personnel who went there for search and rescue missions. So no commercial flights arrived there at the moment. So that will be a really challenge for us humanitarian workers to reach the area, because we have to fly to other cities and reach Palu by land from either Makassar or other city in South and Central Sulawesi.
The death toll continues to rise, as we understand, and many people trapped under rubble, many people still missing. Talk to us about efforts on that front to continue searching for people who may be trapped.
Yeah, government is doing that with help from the military personnel who came with all the troops and personnel from other cities in Indonesia as well. And this will be the priority for the government right now before the first aid or material can reach the area.
Yenny, I want to pause for just a moment here. I want to show our viewers the moment that was caught on video, the moment that this tsunami swept in. Let's take a look at this just for a moment. We'll talk about it here on the other side, but let's listen. There it is, you know, and people who were there, people who were on the ground, they had very little time, Yenny. They had very little time to escape. Given what we've seen, this massive wave coming in, the great extent of damage that's been left over, what are your feelings, just your overall feelings about how long it will take to help people in Palu and throughout the region to recover, given what happened here?
I'm afraid that from our experience in previous tsunami in Aceh, this will take a long time for people to recover and reconstruct the area because of the damage, but also because, until now, the aid relief is very hard to reach the area. So there will be some delay in providing support and assistance to the communities at this point. I think reconstruction will take a long time, and we'll need support and help from all people and stakeholders in Indonesia, as well as the community itself, to help them cope with the situation before the actual relief and reconstruction and recovery materialize in the next few months.
Yenny Suryani is monitoring the situation in Palu City from Jakarta. Thank you for your time, and we'll keep in touch with you. CNN's Will Ripley is following the details for us live in Hong Kong this hour. Will, the death toll has doubled, now 832 people, and there's an expectation it could continue to rise.
And, 821 of those were killed in Palu, George, which is where that tsunami, that 3-meter, around 10-foot tsunami crashed in, reminding me of the devastation that I saw in Japan. And, after the tsunami in 2011, I visited the areas. Even several years later, there was still total devastation in areas that hadn't been rebuilt because the waves come in and they just destroy everything in their path. So the concern is that in the coming hours and the coming days, rescuers will find more bodies that are just, simply buried in areas that are unreachable right now. Some of the hardest hit areas are still completely cut off in terms of communication and power and the roads. Because first you had the 7.5 earthquake. That is a very strong earthquake, destroyed thousands of buildings, and you can see the damage from the shaking itself. But then it was the tsunami waves and those forceful waves that came crashing in that were even more terrifying and devastating. I want to play that video for you once again because you can hear the panic in this man's voice who was taking the video as he's trying to warn people on the street that the waves were coming, many of them completely oblivious, driving in their cars, not knowing what was just seconds away. Watch. Just moments later when the wave came in, you could hear that man's voice from that panic to almost a sound of sadness and resignation as he was watching people who weren't able to get out of the way. So, that's where we stand. President Joko Widodo on the ground there asking rescuers to work day and night to do what they can. There are people stranded in a collapsed hotel. At least 50 people believed missing, trapped under debris. Hope of finding many of them alive, fading with each passing hour. And just a devastating event. And rescue workers, as you just heard, having a very hard time reaching the area. Even our own teams on the ground there are unsure if they're going to be able to fly into Palu or if they're going to have to go to another airport and drive 12 hours. We've heard reports of journalists already on the road for 21 hours just trying to get there. So imagine trying to get relief supplies in. And then, of course, when you get there, if every hotel and accommodation is closed or severely damaged, people sleeping outside, sleeping in tents, just a horrific situation, and it's going to be difficult to get all of the personnel in there to help these people who are so badly in need right now. George?
Difficult for days, Will, for weeks, and surely for months to come. Will Ripley live for us, following the details in Hong Kong. Thank you for the reporting. We'll keep in touch with you. Here in the United States, the U.S. president's pick for